I'm Lito, and welcome to Lito on Toys. Well, toys are something we all grow up with, creating memories like children in super action hero costumes in a birthday party, or being part of a phenomenal toy consumer market of different nationalities, young and old, and through time immemorial. Better still, let's extend our experience to look at the collection of toys, having our collector himself guide us through. Hi, Joe. That was a nice intro song. Sounded like I was in a theater watching an action movie. I know you enjoy collecting superhero action figures. Why don't you guide us, maybe pinpoint some of your toys in the collection? But in the meantime, let's have a cup of coffee. You from a Star Wars mug, me from a Batman mug. Cheers. This is really something, Joe. When did you start collecting? And which are your favorites?
I started collecting in 1992. I was in first year college, entering second year college. And my initial collection started off with superheroes, so mainly Batman. I was trying to rebuy those childhood toys of Batman, which I remember from the late 70s and the early 80s.
Which of these do you remember done by Hasbro or Mattel as franchise by DC?
Well, now Hasbro and Mattel are the two biggest toy companies for the boys department. So actually, both Hasbro and Mattel were involved in both DC and Marvel, depending on which decade. For example, Mattel in the early 80s, they held the rights to the Marvel superheroes line, and Kenner Toys, which eventually became a subsidiary of Hasbro, held on to the DC Heroes toys in the early 80s with their Superpowers line.
Joe, I'm sure you know that toys have appreciated in value, or maybe because they're no longer available. Like a 1976 Batman action figure, which is not close to reality, is now worth $500 according to eBay, or 25,000 pesos. An old Batmobile is now at $850 or 40,000 pesos. Life-size superhero figure statues could cost as much as 100,000 plus for an Iron Spider-Man, according to No Limit Design Limited.
Yes, although there are certain toys which are old and have not appreciated in value because of the specific franchise they belong to, most toys have appreciated because they belong to popular franchises. For example, DC superheroes, or Star Wars, or Star Trek, or the James Bond franchise. So I think it depends on which franchise these toy lines are associated with. I also like collecting jumbo size action figures, the very large ones. So here's one from the 1970s as well. This is Great Mazinga from the Shogun Warriors line of Mattel.
Wow, that's great. Let me say hello to them. Joe, how do you see buying toys today to add to your collection? Which are the ones do you think will be making your collection more enjoyable, not only for you, but also for your kids?
Well, I foresee continuing to add to my collection even well into my 60s, possibly even 70s. And the impetus or the drive that's behind which toy lines to collect is usually what is relevant for the day. So, for example, there was a Star Wars movie that just came out last December. So it looks like for the next few months, I'll be buying a lot of Star Wars toys.
By the way, Joe, do you know that the US toy industry increased to $3.6 billion sales in the first quarter of 2020, a 7.6% spike over the same period last year? According to Julie Lynette, Vice President and Industry Advisor for the NPD Group's US Toys Division, she also said that the top performers are the action figures and accessories category over dolls, games, and puzzles and others. The total revenue of global toy market is $90.4 billion, while the US toy market size is $25.5 billion. And according again to Statista, the amount spent per child on toys in Europe is $215 or 10,750 pesos. As expected, the biggest exporter in the global toy industry is China, exporting nearly $43 billion in 2018. It's been said that despite the lingering and minor evaporation from the loss of Toys R Us, the toy industry is poised for growth in 2020 to 2021.
I agree because toys primarily are something that are played with at home, with your kids, with your family. So, despite this situation of the COVID and social distancing, toys are still a very enjoyable pastime or hobby, which you can continue to do at home.
I think for toys, branding is the key. Like the super action heroes, offer multi-branded channels that will fit a home situation, like comics, movies, toys, costumes, etc. Watching movies of Batman and Superman over Netflix is a great entertainment seen from home.
Well, I think that all of these channels and online and streaming movies, which you can view in the comfort of your home, are actually going to make this passion and this hobby grow. Because now, at any time you want, any time of the day, you can turn on Netflix and you can watch the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, or you can watch the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. So it's going to continue to help its popularity.
Reading DC Comics is another form of entertainment, having the choice of reading a different story every day. Joe, I heard you're running a small business on comics. Can you tell us more about it?
Sure. A comic book store was a dream that I and my younger brother Mike had since the 80s. We had a very unofficial store when we were in our early teens, trying to sell comic books in our classrooms to our classmates. So this is actually a dream come true. We put up the store last September, and although it is a standalone store in the island of Negros, in the city of Kabangkalan, most of the transactions are already done either online or through contacts through emails or telephone calls.
Which are the more popular ones? And then any idea how much these collection comics sell each? Which kinds are more expensive than the others? I'm sure they're all accessible price-wise to most.
If you buy current issues now, they still, thank God, are not expensive. They can go as cheap as $1 to as high as maybe $4. These are for the new issues. And I have to say that the new stories and the new artwork are actually better than the 1970s and 80s comics which we grew up with and loved. So there actually is an improvement in the overall quality of comics nowadays.
These comics and movies on Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, and others readily give children company and, for one, relieves them from stress and makes them divert their attention. Create images like Superman giving wings to fly, a Batmobile to drive, body movements to copy, a la Wonder Woman, and to jump like Spider-Man. All this thanks to DC Warner Brothers and Marvel Walt Disney.
Well, yes, the companies that you just mentioned, Marvel and DC, are actually the leaders in the comic industry. Although there are some independent comic companies which do exist, but Marvel and DC are still the industry leaders, and they will continue to be popular with children and with grown-up children through the years.
I guess one benefit that these toys and games entertainment give at this time of quarantine is to enhance family relationships, bonding, growing, and learning to live with each other. As the Toy Story song by Randy Newman goes,
Got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles and miles from bed, you just remember what your old pal said. You got a friend in me.
thanks, Joe. Thank you very much. And guys, thank you for joining me. And this has been Lito on Toys. Stay safe and subscribe if you want to hear more.